technique, fundamentals, schematic standpoint, just show up in a game-like environment. And just to gain some experience in front of fans at Ross A, anytime you can kind of fabricate a game-like environment, it's going to be awesome.
A lot of new faces on this team. Who's really stood out to you, impressed you in the spring that people should keep an eye on?
We've added 27 guys at mid-year, and so like the newer guys, the Nyland Green has showed up and showed out. We got a bunch of receivers that have done a really good job. A lot of guys on the offensive line. They have all impressed and done more than what we thought they were going to be able to do.
Thanks, Coach.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Brooke Fletcher, thank you. And let's get ready for some spring football. What do you say on a gorgeous Saturday afternoon here in West Lafayette? Hudson Card, QB1 for the Boilermaker offense as they'll start from their own 25-yard line on what will be the first snap of this ball game. Devin Mockabee is in the backfield with him, and he has some running room up to, they're going to mark him to the 30-yard line. Again, fans, when the ones play the ones, it's going to be two-hand touch, no live tackling, as we take a look at the numbers for Hudson Card from a season ago.
Well, there's been buzz about Hudson Card since he stepped on campus before last spring, and they're really excited about his talent, his potential. He showed that with honorable mention all Big Ten honors last year. But for him, it's not about actually adding to his game. It's about eliminating some of those mistakes, the interceptions, the unnecessary sacks.
And how about a catch to a wide receiver, Jerron Tibbs, the sophomore, who pushes the ball out to the 42-yard line for a first down for the first-team offense. Tibbs, who really came on late in the season after playing sparingly early in the season last year as a freshman, caught 5 receptions on the season a year ago, and here he has a first down catch.
Part of a completely revamped wide receiver room as well between transfers. Tibbs now a sophomore. Excited to see these guys perform.
Boiler up wearing the black uniforms, Hammer down wearing white, and Hudson Card will go up top and looking for his intended receiver down that far sideline. That was the speedster, C.J. Smith. They love this guy's speed on the outside.
Take a look at Mockabee in pass pro. He starts on the left side of the offensive line, a quick little flash, and he reads that blitz coming off of the edge, Antonio Stevens. And what really hurt Purdue at times last year, Rob, was they gave up far too many sacks, the negative plays. That's not just on the offensive line, it's on the running backs as well. A really nice job there by Devin Mockabee.
Second down and 10 now for the first-team offense. As Hudson Card on a rollout left, this time looks down that sideline again, and that is incomplete. Intended again for Jerron Tibbs. This one, however, is well defended over there defensively by Kendrick Breedlove, one of the newcomers on the Boilermaker roster.
Yep, revamped wide receiver room, revamped secondary. Kendrick Breedlove said he might be one of the fastest guys on the team. It's between him and C.J. Smith. And one of the issues with Purdue last year, which is supposed to be Ryan Walters' specialty, was that defense gave up far too many points, far too many explosive plays. So they went to the transfer portal to combine with some of the veteran presence they have returning. Nice job in coverage there by Breedlove.
Breedlove transferring in from Colorado, and here is on the run Hudson Card throwing. He has a wide receiver who is wide open, and that is Andrew Sawinski with a touchdown catch for the first-team offense as the first-team O strikes first. Andrew Sawinski came to Purdue as a walk-on out of Indianapolis Chittard High School 3 catches a season ago, and this is a 58-yard touchdown catch for Sawinski on the opening drive.
Well, I just said it. The problem with Purdue last year is they were boom or bust. Far too many explosive plays. They play quality defense for 80% of the game, and then they just miss. That's a complete missed assignment. It looks like that's Salim Turner-Muhammad there. You can't do that, right? This is the killer play. You got a safety in the middle of the field, and you just cannot do this. Of course, when someone's running down the seam, someone has to run with them. It looks like every other corner is in man-to-man coverage. These are the things Purdue's going to have to clean up if they want to improve upon that record from last season.
Well, last season, Purdue was the worst in the Big Ten in points allowed. The Boilermakers defensively allowed 30 points a game, 30.4 per ball game defensively, to Jake's point. And part of the problem, what we saw there, breakdowns on the back end defensively. So this is what is known as the hammer down team, at least on the scoreboard. And running the second team offense, how about this, Jake Butt, is the highly touted freshman Marcos Davila. He's going to run the second team O here.
Well, I'm excited. I'm sure Boilermaker fans are excited to see a true freshman, an early enrollee, leading the second team offense. It had been a competition from what we were hearing between him and Ryan Brown, but this guy's a former 4-star. He's got all the arm talent in the world, great size already. And for him to have the knowledge and the ability to process a college football playbook at this point is highly encouraging.
And as he'll be sacked. Yanni Karloftis coming right up the gut. The middle linebacker, Karloftis, local kid from right here in West Lafayette, went to West Lafayette High School. He is credited with a sack. Karloftis, the 6'3", 235-pound junior.
Here's the difference between a veteran running back, Maccabee, doing it well in pass pro, and a redshirt freshman, Elijah Jackson, in pass pro. Now, Yanni Karloftis is a big guy. He's 235 pounds. Elijah Jackson's only 185. But if we're going to hand you the ball, if we're going to give you carries, you got to help in pass pro.
Third and long now for the second team offense, led by the true freshman Davila from Texas. He threw for over 9,000 yards as a high school player, and Davila is flush from the pocket. Again, Yanni Karloftis was bringing the heat, forcing Davila to just throw the ball away out of bounds, and that'll bring up a 4th down for the second team O.
And no one's going to get excited about a ball that's thrown into the first row of the stands. But when you're talking about a true freshman, a guy that should still be in high school, you got to highlight the little positive points. You know, he's got the feel. He understands he's under pressure. He avoids the sack, gets outside of the pocket, and then don't force it. You don't need to make a play in your first spring game. Just throw the ball away and live to fight the other day. That's encouraging for a young freshman in Davila.
Now, there is no punting here in the Purdue spring game with the modified rules. Basically what they are doing is they're taking the national average from punting a season ago in the NCAA, and that ends up being the punt yardage. So what the national average was from a season ago means the ball is punted that distance, which means the first team offense will take over here at their own 38-yard line. As we take a look at some of the notable recruits now on this Purdue campus that are hoping to help this Purdue team improve from a season ago.
Well, we talked about Davila. Hudson Card will be on his way out, so you're looking for the next successor. And Purdue's done well with the quarterbacks. They're really, really excited about him. Got to see him come out there with the second team offense. And then, you know, you look at that safety position. Of course, you got Dylan Thieneman, who's going to be the stud, but he may be leaving in the next 2 years to go on to the NFL. He's that good. So they're adding depth. They're adding nice pieces. Again, Ryan Walters is known for being an elite recruiter. Between the transfer portal and the recruiting class, it was 8th in the Big Ten Conference, so he's off to a good start.
This is Reggie Love III, the transfer from Illinois, playing in his first season at Purdue after playing 4 years for the Illini, and he's actually touched down a yard behind the line of scrimmage to bring up second and 11. They are really excited about Reggie Love III around here.
In a real big get there too, Rob, because Tyrone Tracy is going to be a nice piece for an NFL team. He's gone, and before Reggie Love came on campus, it was Maccabee and then a lot of question marks behind him. They didn't have a lot of depth. And remember, this Purdue offense leaned heavily on their running game. So to go get Reggie Love, a senior, a veteran with experience and skill, that's a big get for Ryan Walters once again. 2nd and 11. Hudson Card to the slot. Catch is made. That is the speedster, C.J. Smith, with a short gain. For more on Reggie Love, the transfer from Illinois, let's go downstairs to Brooke Fletcher.
Yeah, Devin Maccabee said he's going to be a very good back for this team here. He says now we're able to split up the carries. It's going to bring a lot of value to this running back room. Jake, you mentioned experience, but how about Big Ten football experience? Transferring from Illinois and knows what to expect when it comes to Big Ten football, the expectations, and so it's just going to be able to take this backfield to the next level.
And now our first penalty call to the ball game, which means for the first time we'll hear from referee Rich Edwards.
Offside. Defense, number 17 with contact. 5-yard penalty. 3rd down.
So that'll move it from 3rd and 8 to 3rd and 3.
Isn't football beautiful? Ryan Walters is the DC, great friend of Brett Bielema there in Illinois, comes to be that head coach, and Reggie Love isn't the first guy that he's plucked from that roster. So, listen, there's no friends outside of the building, right? Everybody's trying to do their best to win.
Well, Walters plucked a few coaches as well from that Illinois staff when he came to West Lafayette. 3rd down and 3. Hudson Card again to throw. Had to hesitate his man, but then it is dropped. Excellent defense. Antonio Stevens coming up from the safety position separates the receiver from what would have been a first down catch. Antonio Stevens replacing the hard-hitting Sanusi Kane from a season ago for that back end of the defense.
Once again, I do want to highlight the protection here, Rob. Just look at this pocket. Hudson Card, he's working front side 1-2. Might have had that slant there, but he has enough time to come all the way back to his backside slant. And though it wasn't completed, again, sacks were an issue for the Purdue Boilermakers last year, and this isn't even their fully healthy projected starting line. And so far, the one offense has done a great job with keeping Hudson Card clean.
That does end up bringing up 4th down. So again, the national punt average from a season ago means the field is flipped. And the second team offense will take over at their own 15-yard line. There's a look at that offensive line Jake was just talking about. 4 starters returned from last year's team. Jalen Grant actually was a full-time starter last year. Purdue has improved so much in that area, they now expect him to be a backup this year.
I know, and that's a good problem to have. I mean, they got bit by the injury bug. Graham Harrell told us at times they didn't even think they had 5 or 6 fully healthy offensive linemen that could play a 60-minute Big Ten football game. Now they said this spring they've been able to run with 3 different units.
Ryan Brown now quarterbacking the second unit offense, and his pass is intended and then over the head of Jesse Watson, a true freshman out of St. Louis, Missouri. 2nd down and 10 here for the Boilermaker second team offense.
It is worth continuing to mention, offensive linemen, the quarterbacks, the receivers, the skill position, that's sexy. That's going to make the headlines, but it's so true. When you have quality offensive line play, everything else becomes easy.
Ryan Brown played in only 1 game last year for the Boilermakers. That was the game at Northwestern when Hudson Card was out and injured. As Purdue does try to run an interior running play right up the gut, and there's just no running room up there, mainly because the Purdue D-line was ready, willing, and able. Led by Drake Carlson, big old number 98, a redshirt freshman out of Nashville, Tennessee, who's 6'3", 290 pounds.
It wasn't just the offensive line. They've added size and depth on the defensive line as well. Remember back at Illinois when they had that number 1 ranked defense, they had Keith Randolph, they had Johnny Newton, who's going to be a first-round pick. Walters in this scheme relies heavily on big interior defensive linemen.
Brown on 3rd down is flushed from the pocket, and he will be sacked. He will be sacked. That is Jaira Ojada. This guy is a heck of a story. Number 99, played 4 years of Division III football at Franklin College on the south side of Indianapolis, and he decided, hey, I'd like to try high major football, give it a shot in my final season, and he looks like he belongs.
Absolutely, and really just a great job staying disciplined in his rush lane. There was a temptation to maybe come up and underneath there, but he stayed on the tackle, Sales Jr. outside shoulder, and he got some help from the interior pass rush, which forced Ryan Brown to kind of fall right into his lap. Again, a good pass rushing unit is all going to work as one, and so far when it's the 2s versus the 2s, the defense is dominating.
A 3 and out for that second team offense. What a story. Jaira Ojada, 4 years of Division III football, and now playing in the Division I high major level here in the Big Ten in his 5th and final season.
You know what I love about that story, too, and just the transfer portal class as a whole? What Walters has talked about, what some of these players have talked about is having a chip on their shoulder. When you're taking guys from the transfer portal, it usually means they didn't feel like they were in the right home, that, they had to transfer out and they have something to prove. They plucked 4 guys from the Georgia roster, back-to-back national champs, but guys that weren't going to see playing time. Now, like Ojada and some of these other guys, they have a chance to prove themselves.
Hudson Card on the play action this time has a receiver. That will be a first down. That is Jaden Dixon-Veal finding himself into open green grass in the right slot, the near side slot, and that is a first down into plus territory. They'll put the ball down at the 35-yard line.
We almost got to see him. We almost got to see Dylan Thieneman.
I have a feeling we'll see a lot of him. If not today, certainly in the fall.
That's one thing I'm certain of.
3rd team All-American from a season ago. Purdue's 50th All-American candidate in its history of football. Hudson Card to throw again. He is running out of room, and he will be tagged down. He will be tagged on. Jeffrey Mba, credited with a sack. Speaking of Dylan Thieneman, oh, what a season he had a year ago.
Some guys, they show up to the party, and they like to ease themselves in a little bit, maybe a little bit quieter. Well, Dylan Thieneman wasted no time coming onto the scene. Seriously made his impression felt in the very first game and just continue that momentum throughout the season. 6 interceptions, 74 tackles. He plays in that deep safety spot for Ryan Walters' defense, and what you notice about a lot of these highlight tapes is pre-snap alignments 25, 30 yards deep, but that allows him to play instinctually downhill, keeping everything in front of him.
He was the Big Ten Freshman of the Year a season ago. All kinds of time here for Hudson Card. Look at all this time he has. Now he is flush from the pocket, running to his left, and he will be tagged down at the 30-yard line. That'll bring up a very manageable 3rd down and 5.
And Dylan Thieneman was the one that came up and tagged him.
You talked about the fact he starts so deep, 25 yards off the line of scrimmage. He doesn't end up there, Jake, but that's where he starts.
And that's part of the wrinkle in what makes Ryan Walters' defense unique. You know, you could say, man, how is he so far back? Does he have the chance to make plays? But when you have an instinctual safety like him, it allows him to play downhill.
And now we're seeing moving into the slot, now backing back to the traditional free safety position. This ball is caught on the far sideline, but it will not be enough for a first down. About 2 yards shy off the catch from Devin Mockabee, and with that, back to Brooke Fletcher.
You guys were talking about his skill set on the field, but defensive coordinator Kevin Kane told me that this year they're really challenging him to become a vocal leader. He's technically a true freshman, but not on this team. Everyone knows who he is now, and he told him, he said, listen, you even have a banner hanging in the indoor. As a freshman, that's how much of an impact he had last year. The X's and O's, it's not the problem. Now he's encouraging him to speak his voice, speak his opinion, and really become a leader on this field, guys.
Ben Freehill will attempt a 45-yard try from the left hash. The kick is on the way, and it is good. So Ben Freehill, who last year was 6 of 11 field goal opportunities, 44 yards, his best a season ago, knocks through that kick for the Boiler Up team, and it's 10-0. Boiler Up leads Hammer Down.
I want to continue that conversation with Thieneman because, you know, when I was playing ball at Michigan, Coach Harbaugh had a rule. In order to be voted captain, in order to be eligible, you needed to be a senior in terms of eligibility. So I asked Coach Walters, I said, is there any of that here at Purdue? And he said, no, if you're a leader and if your teammates want to vote for you, you can be a captain. So he's only a sophomore. But you might see him be a captain as soon as this year. I think it's highly likely at this point. I'd imagine he repeats again his junior year. And if he goes to the NFL or not, he could be a 2 or 3-time captain here. What I love to hear about him is even with all this success, he's the last guy to leave in the practice. That's a big reason he's able to have that production. Talk about the uniqueness of Ryan Walters' defense. These are the past 3 safeties, all with 5, 6, 6 interceptions. So even though their alignment looks unique, they're in a position to make plays.
Davila again now quarterbacking the second unit, the freshman who hails from Midland, Texas. And he will hand the ball off on an interior run here for the Boilermakers. Again, this is the second team offense playing on what is called the Hammer Down team. Christian Womack, the redshirt freshman, is the ball carrier. Womack has been injured for most of the spring out of Tomball, Texas, but they are happy to have him healthy enough to give them some reps today. 2nd down and 6. And Womack, again, the ball carrier, does have running room to the right side of the formation, and he will find his way all the way out to the 44-yard line. That is a 1st down run for Christian Womack. Again, a redshirt freshman who had all kinds of running room here, Jake, on the right side. 15-yard run.
Like you said, we didn't know if he was going to play or not. We didn't know if he was healthy. That looks pretty healthy there with the nice burst. And really for the second team offense, this is the key, is just trying to get some positive plays. They have been going backwards.
DJ Allen on that last tackle for the Boilermaker defense as this 3-yard run will bring up 2nd down and 7. Again, Womack is the ball carrier, and now he comes out to be replaced by the true freshman, Jaheim Merriweather, who wears number 3 out of Jackson, Tennessee. They are really excited about this guy, giving them some depth in that running back room. Jaheim Merriweather. Davila this time with plenty of time, and that ball is incomplete. It's still just a little bit behind the intended receiver, Armand Branch, the redshirt freshman from Festus, Missouri, and that'll bring up 3rd down.
I just want to keep highlighting this because Walters has told us it has been a physical spring. There's the true freshman, Merriweather, once again, bringing that linebacker blitz, that plug blitz. Looked like Winston Berglund. But again, you got to step up. If we're going to give you carries, you got to step up and put your face in there so we can get the ball off. Just couldn't complete the catch.
That ball is in and out of the hands, a little too high for Jesse Watson, the freshman from St. Louis. That'll bring up a 4th down, and the Davila interception means Purdue will punt the ball away. At least in theory, they'll be punting here. Big Ten Plus delivers thousands of non-televised live events, access to next-day on-demand replays, multi-view to watch up to 4 games at once, and a 24/7 Purdue channel. There's no plus like home. Subscribe and stream for as low as $9.95 a month at BigTenPlus.com. Jake, but that Purdue schedule is not kind in the front half of the season.
It isn't, and we've talked about all the improvement, the depth, all the new pieces, but that's only the beginning of the challenge. You look at this schedule, and there's no easy wins. What I love is early there in that opening of the Big Ten play, Ryan Walters is a year 2 coach. They got Nebraska and Wisconsin, so they got Matt Rule, Luke Fickell. It's the battle of the year 2 coaches. And then look at the back half of this schedule. Oregon, Ohio State, probably 2 of the best rosters in the conference. Penn State is loaded. Northwestern returns a ton of talent. Michigan State and Indiana, both with brand new coaches. They're going to need to be at their best to get to that 6-win mark this season.
Hudson Card continuing to quarterback the #1 offense here with a 1st and 10 from his own 18. And a Card again with all kinds of time, and that is C.J. Smith. And we're going to get a chance here, fans, to see just how fast he is. A 10-2 100-meter performer in high school in the state of Georgia. They are in love with this guy's athleticism, an 18-yard gain.
They said he's got Olympic speed. Now that's fast. Probably the fastest guy on the team is going back and forth between him and Kendrick Breedlove. But again, revamped wide receiver room. They love C.J. Smith. Graham Harrell talked about sometimes when guys are real speedy, real burners, they're a one-trick pony. They can only go over the top, but they're really impressed with his artistry in terms of route running and understanding how to separate.
Maccabee this time on an interior run, and there's just nowhere for him to go. Antonio Stevens again coming up from that safety position. Stevens has a tough task. He is replacing the hard-hitting Sanusi Kane from a season ago, Purdue's hardest hitter on the defensive side of the football. That's what they're wanting from Antonio Stevens this season, the 6-foot senior out of Nashville, Tennessee.
And leadership too, right? Is that safety room, particularly last year, had a ton of leadership, but Antonio Stevens, an older guy, a veteran guy, he's got the size at 6'2", 210. He's got experience, but now he's the guy, he's the starter. He's gonna have to step up.
2nd down and 9. This time Hudson Card will not run away from DeMarge Lewis. DeMarge Lewis, wearing number 34, was able to step inside of the offensive player and come up with a quarterback sack. The senior from Griffin, Georgia.
So take a look here on the left side of the screen. The Purdue defense, they dropped a lot. They really only rushed 3 guys. So Hudson Card had time. Would have loved to see him feel that in the pocket a little bit. You know, when you're only rushing 3 guys, look at the coverage. There's every blade of grass is really covered. As good as this offensive line has been playing to start the game, you never want to give up a sack to a rush 3 look.
3rd and long for the Boilermakers, and Hudson Card has a receiver, but there's just nowhere for him to run on the near side of your screen. Coming up defensively in a hurry was Nyland Green, number 2, credited with a tackle.
Yeah, so let's take a look here at some of the highlights of Hudson Card, and what you're going to notice is this guy is really, really talented. Seriously, the arm talent is tier 1. His mobility has been talked about and has excited this coaching staff since he stepped on campus. Some of the creativity and things he does outside of the pocket, off schedule, and on the run is what really separates him and makes him special. The key for Hudson Card, once again, he can make all the throws. He can make all the highlights. He can put up a ton of points. This graphic right here is the key. You see the difference in the wins and the losses, a 15% completion percentage difference. The key, touchdown and interception, 8-0 in wins, 4-7 in losses. And as I've talked about a bunch here to start this game, Rob, the sacks are killer. It's the negative plays that have really hurt Purdue.
So far in this game, Hudson Card, 7 of 10 passing, 116 yards and a touchdown. Ryan Brown again working in as the 2nd-team quarterback here. And his swing pass out to the left side of the formation is caught by Elijah Jackson, but he was going nowhere quickly. Good coverage out there by the Boilermaker defense. Botros Alessandro in coverage.
Let's take a listen to this one right here. Botros Alessandro. We know you can cover. Can you hit? It's been a while since I've heard a hit like that. I just love it. I love it.
You jumped out of your seat. You were so excited there. Alessandro, the 6'1", 185-pound junior from Manchester, New Hampshire. Second down and 12. And again, this time they'll hand the ball to Elijah Jackson. Again, he just has nowhere to run. Trying to turn the corner on the right side of the formation. He had nowhere to go over there. As they quickly closed it down, C.J. Madden on the tackle for the Purdue defense.
Well, with this second team offense, it's really quite simple. They had success on the last drive because they stayed ahead of the sticks. They won first and second down. But this drive has really been the theme of the day. 3rd and 15, you lose 2 on first down, you lose 3 on second down. There's not plays in the playbook here to really succeed. Got to win those early downs.
3rd and 15. Again, Brown just can't find anyone open. Now he's on the run. Ryan Brown will finally deliver, and that ball is incomplete, and a hard hit put on defensively there by the closing defensive back, Smiley Bradford, and it's another 3 and out for the second team offense.
Well, that's encouraging. We're going to highlight these younger guys. Smiley Bradford, a freshman, and just sitting in that zone coverage. This has been a popular coverage for the Purdue defense. Dropping 7-8 guys with their eyes in the backfield, and that allowed Smiley Bradford to track the eyes of Ryan Brown and come up and deliver a nice big hit.
3 and outs here in the first quarter for the second team offense. So is that good offense or is that better defense?
That's the question, because maybe I was going to ask you this. Walters told us in our meetings this week, one of the emphasis of this spring has been starting fast. He felt that was an issue last year, so he changed the practice schedule around. Last year they were going to stretch and then do a walkthrough, do some indie, get into special teams. He said it was about an hour before they actually got out there and started hitting and getting into team drills. He said this year they stretch and immediately get into team to try to emphasize that physicality and starting fast, but it's a spring game, so I don't know. Is this good for the O? Is it good for the D? I don't know.
Oh, the $11 million question there.
We need Brooke can talk to Coach Walters down there.
Hudson Card back to lead the first team O here on the Boiler Up team. Play action to Reggie Love, and then here's a throw to the tight end, Max Clare. Now, this is a guy that they have been uber impressed with during the spring, Max Clare.
I want to make a statement here that I would not be surprised if at the end of the season, Max Clare has some type of all Big Ten honors. He is that special. I came to camp last year, and at that time he was a freshman, and I asked Coach Walter, I said, who is that guy, number 86? And he said, hey, listen, this guy can be really special. Dealt with some injuries, fully healthy now. He might end up being their best weapon this fall.
He was injured in that Illinois game a season ago and just was never right. And speaking of Max Clare, guess what? Another catch for him as Nyland Green was in coverage. He will not be credited with a first down. Instead, it'll bring up a 3rd down and 1.
Now you're talking my language with the tight ends. So he can separate versus man coverage, but here you're going to see him sit down versus zone. So a shallow route can look 2 different ways. If you're in man coverage, they say if you're looking, you're booking, stay on the run. But when it's zone, you want to sit there. And what's really encouraging is Hudson Card and Max Clare are on the same page. That's tough. That's the key for those types of plays. And he did get tackled at 3rd and 1, but it's spring game rules. Any 1 yard to go, they're just going to call it a touchdown or move the chains.
Yes, and that's to avoid short yardage collisions. So Jake is correct. It's technically now a first down here for the offense. And again, Hudson Card wants to throw on the run off his back foot, actually. Clare was trying to run away from Antonio Stevens, but that is incomplete. First quarter has come to a close. Boiler Up in the first team offense, leading Hammer down in the first team defense 7-0. The spring game from Purdue. July 13th, the BTN Big 10K returns to Soldier Field in Chicago for the fantastic 10K and 5K races and tailgate party. Scan the QR code or register right now at btnbig10k.com. Rob Blackman, Jake Butt, Brooke Fletcher, we welcome you to Purdue. Time to start the second quarter for the Purdue spring game here on BTN. Wide receiver room looks a lot different this year than it did a year ago, Jake Butt.
Yep, and there's Tibbs. We've seen him make some plays. We've seen C.J. Smith. You can throw in Max Clare, but wanted to highlight some guys that you're not seeing today. Cam Brown is a transfer from UCLA, an experienced guy. He's got a ton of production, nice veteran presence in the room, and I think Jamal Edrin, who's not playing, he might be their wide receiver 1.
Thieneman, by the way, Thieneman, they're chasing Hudson Card out of the pocket for an incomplete pass. Yeah, I think the Purdue coaches would tell you, Edrin, had he been healthy last year, he'd have been the #1 wide receiver option for this Purdue team.
I mean, it was an injury bug across the board for that Purdue roster. Edrin tore his ACL in camp, and I had that Fresno State game, and I remember I could just feel the disappointment in the coach's voice knowing how big of a loss that was. He has been practicing. He has been working back. He will be healthy come fall camp. But it's a spring game. It's spring ball. You want to make sure that ACL is fully healed because they're going to depend on him in the season.
3rd down and 10 here for Hudson Card, who remains the signal caller here for the first team offense in the second quarter. Card this time is flush from the pocket, and that ball is at caught. Jerron Tibbs was very close to making a catch, and yes, they will give him a first down reception. Tibbs, the sophomore from Indianapolis. There's a good look at Jamal Edrin, wearing number 7 there in the black jersey.
I know he's excited to get back out there. He's moving around. Coaches are excited to see him. I did my ACL 3 times, man. Those are long, long months when you can't play the game that you love so much. It's good to hear the updates that he's doing well, and I'm excited to see him fully healthy.
12-yard catch for Tibbs a moment ago for a first down. This ball is actually dropped. Max Clare, you don't see that very often. He drops the ball wide open in the slot.
What I really like what I'm seeing from Hudson Card is he's really decisive, particularly on early downs. I know that was dropped by Max Clare, but you know he's read the defense. He's taken what they've given to him. He's getting the ball out on time. For the most part, has showed good pocket presence. Graham Harrell talked about his progression mentally has been a big step for him this offseason.
Empty backfield this time for Card with Sawinski in motion. Again, plenty of time. That offensive line has done a good job of giving Card plenty of time to throw the football. This time Clare does not drop this one to bring up a 3rd down and 5.
It's a good combination. Plenty of time and a decisive quarterback.
Max Clare out of Guilford, Indiana, 6'4", 245-pound sophomore. George Burhan and Drew Bibber will both be tight ends that'll figure into the rotation this fall, but both not playing today because of injury. Burhan 5 catches a season ago. Bibber had a touchdown catch a season ago for the Boilermakers. And Card delivers this one on time to Jaden Dixon-Veal, the senior from Rancho Cucamonga, California. Doesn't have enough for a first down technically, but because it's a spring game, it will be a first down.
Once again, pocket presence showing up. Look at the zip on this as he's stepping up. You know, just feels that pressure backside. And a nice ball out there to get him into 4th and short, which, as he said, in the spring game moves the chains.
In the spring game, if you're within a yard of the first down marker, you are given a first down. If the ball advances to the 1-yard line, you're given a touchdown. Again, that's just to avoid the collisions and short yardage situations here. So it will be 1st and 10. Toss sweep this time to Reggie Love III, and he does have running room all the way out to the 20-yard line. That should put them in the red zone. They put them right at the 20. Reggie Love III, the transfer from Illinois, with a 10-yard run.
Take a look at this run action. Watch the linemen. They're all pulling right. So watch everybody pull to their right. Right? You got 77, Muhammad Musa pulling to his right. It looks like it might be a play off tackle to the right, and yet it's a misdirection. You're pitching that out to Reggie Love with really no one out there blocking, but there's no one out to stop him either.
Card's going to go up top, but this play is going to be blown dead. And this particular snap was off kilter from the word go. Ryan Walters was trying to get the attention of the officials to tell them to stop the game because he didn't like the formation Purdue was in. So this play will not count. Again, the beauty of the spring game, you're the head coach, you could just tell the officials, hey, stop everything for a minute. We need to recalibrate here.
Yeah, there's rules in the spring game, but stay on your toes. Anything can change.
Anything can happen. Purdue in the red zone last year, 72% scoring efficiency, 25 touchdowns and 43 red zone attempts. And with the ball here at the 20, this is technically a red zone trip here for this Purdue offense. Reggie Love the third on a delay, runs right into the hands of Kadron Jenkins for a gain of 1.
Red zone scoring, another area of focus, another area that has to improve for Purdue. 13th in the Big Ten last year. And I think a big piece of that, again, is the mistakes. It's not about adding anything to the playbook. It's about avoiding sacks. It's about avoiding turnovers. It's about avoiding negative plays.
Devin Mockabee now at the running back position, standing to the right of Hudson Card on 2nd and 9. And Mockabee will carry the football, but again, a short game. To the point you're talking about, Jake, also I think the Purdue folks would tell you their inability to push the pile in short yardage situations,
yes,
also a big problem for them in the red zone last year.
And it comes back to the offensive line. Again, I was in the booth for the Fresno State game, and there was 4 or 5 instances where they tried to run right up the middle with Mockabee and got stuffed. So remember, Gus Hartwig was out. Their offensive line wasn't deep. Now you get guys healthy. You bring in a bunch of transfers. Average size, 6'4", 315 pounds. That's a lot of beef in the kitchen. They're hoping they can lean on that to push the pocket this year.
11th play of this drive for the first team offense. Catch is made around about the 12-yard line. Providing coverage, Nyland Green. A 4-yard reception there for the Boilermakers. That was Denylan Morissette. First time we've called his name today. He's a transfer in from Georgia. Played 14 games over 2 seasons for the Bulldogs. Nyland Green, also a transfer from Georgia. 30-yard field goal attempt for Ben Freehill, who in this game is 1 for 1. He knocked in a 45-yarder in the first quarter. And Freehill is 2 for 2 in the field goal department today after last year going 6 of 11 on the season.
It's been a good start for Hudson Card. Again, a veteran guy, but he's looked sure of himself. He's taken that leap that's to be expected in year 2. You see him using his legs, which is maybe the best part that allows his game to be dynamic, the ability to throw on the run, off platform. He's got all the talent in the world. Graham Harrell's excited to have him back this year.
And we're excited to have him on the Big Ten Network because he is downstairs with our own Brooke Fletcher. Brooke.
Hudson, it looked like you were having fun out there, added some much-needed depth to this offense. How much fun is that for you to really get these guys going?
No, it's awesome. I mean, first of all, the environment here for the spring game has been unreal. You know, it's a blessing to be out there with the guys, so it's been really fun.
You know, you mentioned depth, especially up front there. What does that do for your confidence in your game, having more protection there?
Yeah, I mean, credit to them. Without them, you know, a play doesn't get started. So shout out to the O-line. They've done great so far. We've got some really good pieces there, so we feel good about it.
Coming off your first year as a starter, coming into year 2, what was a point of emphasis for you?
Obviously, you know, year 2, you start to, you know, understand, you know, the place that you're at and build those connections with your teammates and coaches. And, you know, just being another year in the system has helped a lot. And, you know, like I said, it's just a blessing to be out here.
What can we expect from this team? I know a lot of fans are out here to see you guys. What can we expect from this team this fall?
Yeah, you know, for us, we're going to take it day by day, you know, try to get better every single day. And from there, things will take care of itself. So.
All right, thank you so much, Hudson.
Awesome, thank you.
Guys, back to you.
Jaheim Merriweather now the running back with his second team offense. This is him carrying the football, pushing it out to the 21-yard line. Just a moment ago, you saw a nice tackle for loss by Winston Berglund. He wears number 20 for the team in white. The defensive unit, a redshirt freshman from Carmel High School in the north side of Indianapolis. Berglund actually started his career as a free safety and has now moved into an inside linebacker position. And again, Marcos Davila, the true freshman from Texas, quarterbacking the second unit here. 3rd and 14 for Davila. He's going to go up top, try to go for it all. And that ball is caught, and that will be a first down into plus territory. What a catch on the run. That on the receiving end was Traymar Harris, a freshman out of Cincinnati. What a catch for Harris.
This will get you excited for the young quarterback. It's one-on-one coverage across the board, press so you know it's man-to-man. Davila's a true freshman. Traymar Harris is a true freshman. They're already building that chemistry. They're showing it off right there. An excellent ball there by Marcos Davila.
That ends up being a 40-yard reception for Harris, and now Davila wants to go up top again. This ball is incomplete, but a penalty marker will be thrown up that far sideline. Botros Alessandro was in coverage as, again, Davila was trying to go up top for a big hit down that far sideline, and this will be a penalty against the defense.
Pass interference. Defense, number 19. 15-yard penalty. Automatic first down.
You see him get caught up, grabbing the hip. Traymar Harris had him beat once again, and it's kind of like a shooter in basketball. Once you hit a deep three, it's a heat check. You go right back to it. What I really like about Davila, though, is for an early enrollee, a true freshman, he seems sure of himself. Not perfect, but he's helping getting guys lined up. He knows where he's going with the ball pre-snap, and he's got the ability to put it where it needs to be.
And obviously, he likes slinging that football around the field. Here he is wanting to throw again, this time throwing on the run. That ball was delivered on time, but it is incomplete through the hands of the intended receiver, Tavion Galloway. Galloway, a true freshman from Chillicothe, Ohio, and they are very high on this young guy.
He went to my rival high school. What? I went to Pickerington North. He went to Pickerington Central. He had offers from a number of different colleges across the country. At one point was committed to LSU. He's got that. He's got college size already. Another guy that's an early enrollee and should be in high school. That's a catch you got to make at the Big Ten level.
A four-star recruit out of Chillicothe, Tavion Galloway, who has seen a lot of reps in spring because of injuries in that tight end room for the Boilermaker offenses. Well, we're talking about Galloway. A lot of early enrollees for this Boilermaker team.
And a lot of them showing up already. Of course, we've talked about the quarterback. You've seen Traymar Harris with a big catch and then beats Botros Alessandro. They go right back to him. So, again, Ryan Walters, his specialty is recruiting. They had the 5th best transfer portal class, 8th best incoming class when you include recruiting and transfer portal in the Big Ten. So there's a lot of young talent on this roster, a lot of reasons to be excited about the future of Purdue.
3rd down and 5 for Davila. That ball is caught right at the sticks. They'll probably credit him with a first down. If not, they'll give him the spring rules first down on the catch there by Andrew Atkinson.
Yep. I've seen his highlight tape. I saw him in high school. He knows how to catch the ball. It's, this is your first spring game here in the stadium. He was going to take a shot by the Purdue defense. He'll come down with that. He'll get it corrected.
Atkinson was credited, by the way, with a first down catch, with the ball now resting at the 13-yard line. Davila to the near side corner. That is incomplete, intended for Armand Branch, as that ball sails wide and over his head.
Well, Davila's putting together a nice drive. Remember, that first play of this drive, he fumbled the snap, put him in 2nd and 16. You know, it looked like it was gonna be another disappointing end, another 3 and out, but Davila hit that big time throw down the sideline to Traymar Harris. For a young guy, he looks poised, he looks composed. You can see why he's in that competition. Looks like he may be leading that backup quarterback competition.
Yeah, from what we're seeing today, it certainly feels like he's the number 2 QB right now on this roster.
Once again, look at this coverage. You know it's man-to-man, press across the board.
And we have a timeout here. I think, yes, timeout taken by the offense, which is technically the hammer down team on your score bug. Tonight, don't miss men's lacrosse when number 4 Maryland hosts Rutgers. Coverage begins at 7 Eastern, only on the Big Ten Network and the Fox Sports app. Well, Jake Butt, I'll tell you what, I think you're onto something when you mentioned a moment ago that the true freshman Marcos Davila from Midland, Texas, who threw for over 9,000 yards as a high school player, sure looks like he's the second team quarterback, at least what we've seen so far today. He has been impressive.
And, you know, has all the talent. 9,000 yards, that's not an accident, right? Like, he can make all the throws. But what limits young quarterbacks is those high school playbooks, they might only be 10 pages deep. Here in the college, at the college level, they're 30, 40 pages deep, and one play can look 5 or 6 different ways. It's a lot to learn before you even talk about understanding and being able to process it. But you can see the makings of what makes Davila special. He's sure of himself pre-snap, and he's been able to put the ball exactly where it needs to be.
Davila has Merriweather, the freshman, standing beside him on this second down play. He'll fake to Merriweather and an inside tunnel screen here, but there's just nowhere to run for the wide receiver Traymar Harris. A gain of 1 yard and third down coming.
Not a lot of room over there running the smoke screen into the boundary. That one didn't have a chance to really get going. Traymar Harris up at the top, one-on-one. That's been his go-to guy. There's really not any way for the safety to make a play, Anthony Brown, so wouldn't be surprised if he looks Traymar Harris's way.
Davila's looking that direction. Good call, partner, but incomplete. Well covered over there. Derek Rogers Jr., who started his career last year as a wide receiver. By midseason, he was starting at cornerback on the defensive side of the football in coverage, and that brings up fourth down. Also brings Ben Freehill back onto the field to attempt a field goal.
So look at this. This looks like a go ball, right? And, you know, the safety's in one high coverage, so there's help to the middle of the field. Traymar Harris is a young guy. Again, he's one of those early enrollee freshmen. What I was always coached to do is that's got to be an outside release. When you release inside, the safety's right there and can get in the action. There's not a lot of space to work.
Out of the hold of Bennett Bayline, that's a 29-yard field goal. That is good. And it's the first score of the game for the Hammer Down team, although place kicker Ben Freehill has now scored for both teams. He's 3 for 3 in field goal tries.
You see what I'm saying? There's the safety right there on that hash, and Davila wants to go to him on the go ball, but as soon as you release inside, look at this. The safety's all of a sudden 5, 6, 7 yards away. You can get into that action. Davila put the ball where it needs to be. You're throwing to a spot down here in the red zone. But I believe Traymar Harris, as a young early enrollee freshman, he's got to find a way to get outside on that outside release, and if he did, that ball would have been right on target.
The nuances of learning as a freshman, especially here at the high major Big Ten level, the Power 5 level of college football.
It's the life of a freshman. You make a heck of a play on 3rd and long, you move the chains, then you draw a pass interference. You got the chemistry and the momentum with your quarterback and just can't quite connect to finish the drive off. But clearly showing some great things and showing some great chemistry with Davila.
Hudson Card, fresh off of his interview with Brooke Fletcher, right back onto the field as the starting quarterback with the ones. And they tried a little interior run there to Reggie Love III. It was going nowhere fast. A 3-yard loss. And there you look at that, the scoring drives from the Boilermaker. That's the first team offense for the Boilermakers here today.
It's worth noting, 58-yard touchdown pass, right? The offense, particularly the one offense, has put up points, but that was one play that really hurt the one defense. So again, it's a little here. It's one mistake that could be the difference for this Purdue team. We showed you the schedule earlier. There's not going to be room for error when you're playing some of these better teams across the Big Ten, and even the out-of-conference schedule is pretty brutal.
Andrew Sawinski was the receiver on that touchdown reception. Reggie Love again. This time Antonio Stevens was the first to tag him down at the 31-yard line. Doesn't look... let's see if Purdue's going to take a timeout with the first team offense, if they'll jump into the 2-minute drill, or if they'll just play out the string here over the final 60 seconds.
I'd love to see it. You know, that's one of the values of this spring game, is that situational aspect of football, and maybe that's what Coach Walters is going to do, is just set it up and force the situation.
Well, you see Coach Walters taking the liberty of moving the football. Again, one of the beauties of spring ball. If the head coach wants to move the football ahead a few yards, he does, and no one says anything about it. The ball's at the 36-yard line now, 1st and 10.
Well, why not do it? 1st and 10, 36-yard line. You can tell your quarterback, hey, this is your 2-minute drill. Go see what you can do with it. Oh, the clock's running, so.
Yeah, the problem is,
everyone's got to be on the same page.
Card slapped his hands together, called for the football, then recycled the offense as that clock continues to tick, now under 30 seconds. It'll be a running play again for Reggie Love III, and Kadron Jenkins was waiting for him on the edge. Probably a loss of a yard. And let's see if that will be the final play here the first half.
First time we've called Kadron Jenkins' name there.
And indeed looks like it will be the final play of the first half. The Boiler up, the first team offense leads Hammer Down, the first team defense, 13-3, as we have reached halftime here at Ross-Ade Stadium in the 2024 Purdue spring game. Halftime at Purdue's Ross-Age Stadium, the spring game, where Boiler Up, the first-team offense, leads Hammer Down, the first-team defense, 13-3. As we go downstairs and check in with Brooke Fletcher, who is standing by with All-American safety Dylan Thieneman.
Dylan, you were picking up right where you left off. What was the focus for you coming into this spring to build off of what you were able to do last season?
It was just about to get my technique back under myself, get back on the field, get used to playing again. You get that time off to recover, and then getting back out there is just adapting back to how we ended last year.
The defense as a whole was playing really well, and you have a lot of new faces, specifically in the secondary. How was the communication this spring, specifically here today?
Today started off to like a little bit of a rocky start at the beginning, but we're getting through it. The new guys, they're playing great at corner, at star. We're able to talk, really, we're able to work with each other. I think we're a lot closer as a unit, so that's definitely going to help us in the long run.
Coach Kane told us that he's challenged you to really take on a leadership role. How do you feel like you've grown in that from year one to year two?
I think I'm just more of a leader on defense, able to direct, maybe tell people how to play certain things, like certain situations, like how things are going to go. So just kind of using like how I played last year to try to help the other guys play.
All right, thank you so much.
All right, thank you.
Brooke Fletcher, thank you. 13-3, halftime at Ross-Age Stadium. Halftime at Purdue's Ross-Age Stadium for the spring game. Rob Blackman and Jake Butt with sideline reporter Brooke Fletcher. Jake, let's look at that Purdue football schedule for the upcoming fall. Interesting note, that Indiana State game was originally scheduled for September the 7th. That meant Purdue would have had its bye week in the first week of the year. Now, luckily, Purdue was able to work with about 6 other schools to get that changed. So now Indiana State will be the opener August 31st, and then 2 weeks to prep for Notre Dame.
That's a theme of the schedule as a whole, right? Is there is challenges ahead. Life in the new Big Ten with the additions of the 4 teams, no more East and West, it's already going to be tough. But you got Notre Dame and Oregon State out of conference before. I'm really excited for when Purdue opens up Big Ten play. It's the battle of the year 2 coaches. Ryan Walters here at Purdue, Matt Rule at Nebraska, and Luke Fickell up there at Wisconsin. Each one of those programs feels they're able to take a step forward this year. We'll get to find out who does that. And then in the back half of this schedule, Rob, tough. No introduction for Oregon, Ohio State, Penn State. Northwestern actually has the #1 returning production on the defensive side of the ball in all of college football. Okay, and David Braun did a phenomenal job up there. That's a team to watch out for. Michigan State, new head coach Jonathan Smith. Kurt Cignetti down in Indiana. They feel they'll be improved. So the floor of the Big Ten has been elevated. The ceiling has been elevated. It's going to be a fun season.
2 years ago, Purdue was the Big Ten West Division champion. No longer East and West divisions in the Big Ten. Halftime at the Purdue spring game, where the Boiler Up team leads the Hammer Down team 13-3. Rob Blackman here with former Michigan All-American Jake Butt. We appreciate you joining us here on a sunny Saturday in West Lafayette, Indiana. Jake, your impressions of the first 30 minutes?
Well, we were told that the size, the depth, the competitiveness, particularly in the trenches, was going to be improved. That's exactly what you've seen, particularly with the first-team offensive line. They've done a great job protecting. Can't help but notice that Hudson Card has taken that step. He feels poised. He feels sure of himself. He's quick to get the ball out, and he's been accurate throughout the day. Again, this Purdue team has completely turned over their roster, but they're going to need Hudson Card to play to his full potential if they want to compete in that really tough schedule.
Back downstairs we go. Brooke Fletcher standing by with Devin Maccabee.
Devin, you're coming off an incredible season last year. What was the point of emphasis coming into the spring?
I think coming into this spring, it's just more emphasis on the discipline aspect of competitive, tough, and discipline. Coming in every day, doing our job, doing it well, and doing it how we're coached to do it. So that was the biggest emphasis I think that we had coming into this spring, so we can tighten things up and guys in the position that they need to be in.
Adding another piece in that backfield alongside Reggie Love, we're getting a first look at him. What does he bring to this backfield?
I think he's a very strong, really hard runner. I think he's going to be very good for us, sort of splitting up the workload between all of us. And I don't know, I just really like him so far, so we'll see how it goes.
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Brooke Fletcher from earlier with Devin Maccabee, who has led the team in rushing each of the last 2 seasons for the Boilermakers. And here we begin the third quarter. By the way, a little note to change here in the third quarter. It will be a running clock in the third quarter here for these teams as Elijah Jackson has a first down run as we're underway in quarter number 3. The only time the clock will stop here in the third quarter will be for a change of possession. Ryan Brown quarterbacking right now with a second team offense. Elijah Jackson, the former walk-on, is the running back from Indianapolis. Brown has all kinds of time, and now he will sprint to his right. That ball is delivered, but it is incomplete, just a bit behind Ben Furtney, the H-back Furtney, who really made quite a name for himself last year on the special teams for the Boilermakers.
Brown had some guys. Look up at the top of your screen. That's Traymar Harris. He's going to be running a curl route. So you got a flat route coming out of the backfield. It looked to me like if he wanted to step up and put that on the inside shoulder of Traymar Harris, he could have delivered a strike. I know it's a wide throw, but...
Good news for Brown. He had all kinds of time to survey the field. And that play going nowhere. That ball's actually fumbled. The forced fumble there by Jaira Ojada. We talked about him earlier in the day. A Division III transfer with a forced fumble there. Offensively, however, recovered by Jaden Ball.
He's been having a great day. I mean, he had the sack earlier, and look, he's too fast. They had some guys pulling around to try to get him, but Ojada wasted no time. I mean, he was full speed ahead, didn't even get touched, and forced the fumble.
3 times a first-team all-conference performer at the Division III level at Franklin College. 3rd and long for Brown. And he has his man over the middle of the defense. Pretty good coverage there defensively by Salim Turner Muhammad. That is not enough for a first down on the reception made by Jesse Watson. They'll be about 2 yards shy, a gain of 13.
It's another freshman stepping up, and again, you got to highlight the protection. Offensive line, clean pocket. That allows Brown to step up, and again, that's Jesse Watson, an early enrollee freshman, winning late against the veteran Salim Turner Muhammad.
Salim Turner Muhammad is a guy to keep an eye on, Purdue fans. Missed all of last year with a hamstring injury. Was on the injured report week 1 with that hamstring and never got right. Transferred after 4 years at Stanford. They just could never get him healthy enough to get him on the field last year, Turner Muhammad. But they do feel good about what he could bring to that defensive secondary here in 2024. Purdue does punt the ball away in theory with a 4th and 2, so the offensive unit will now take over at the 15, their own 15, with a first down and 10. Couldn't have asked for a more perfect day from Mother Nature. Mid-60s, sunshine, very little breeze here in West Lafayette, Indiana. Well, defensively, one thing Purdue's excited about is Kadron Jenkins moving from a rush end to a middle linebacker position. More on that in a moment. As Hudson Card will stay in the game with a first-team O. Card still playing with a first-team offense here into the third quarter. How about Kadron Jenkins, now an inside linebacker, Jake Butt?
Yeah, there he was actually pursuing. I mean, he was playing edge last year, one of the more disruptive players in the Big Ten towards the top of the conference in sacks, tackles for losses, QB hurries, QB hits. But now you move him off the ball. Look at him right there, number 4 in the middle of your screen. And part of that, it works 2 ways. They had depth at the edge that they liked, but Kadron Jenkins he's not big enough or long enough or fast enough to play out on the edge at the NFL level. Now you put him back on the inside, he's got a chance to be an NFL linebacker. And another piece of this is off the ball, he's in position to make more plays. If you got a great edge rusher, you just run away from him. But now, as you see him walk up to the line of scrimmage, he can still rush from that off-ball position, but he's in position to make more plays.
Now it looks like Purdue will take a timeout.
Number 1, 5-yard penalty, second down.
delay of game against the Purdue offense. Well, the defensive coaches around here, Jake, would tell you Kadron Jenkins is still going to line up at rush end on passing situations. He just won't be there all the time.
As they should. I mean, look at these numbers, right? First in pressures, first in knockdowns, third in sacks and TFLs. I mean, the word that comes to mind is extremely disruptive, but he's kind of that Swiss Army knife. He gives them some flexibility and fluidity to use him in different ways. They said wherever he is on the field, he's going to make plays.
Twice he's been all-conference honorable mention, Kadron Jenkins. Hudson Card will tuck it and run. Will Helt was charging in from one side and Jenkins from the other. Short run there by the quarterback, Hudson Card, covering 6 yards. And
part of the reason they can move him to Will Helt as an edge rusher. Between Will Helt, they got another Georgia transfer, CJ Madden. They like those guys off the edge, which is part of the reason you're able to move Kadron Jenkins off the ball to that inside linebacker position.
Now 3rd and 15 for Hudson Card in the first string offense. And as Card steps up in the pocket, takes a peek behind and sees there's no one open, he will throw that ball away. We mentioned early in the broadcast, Jake, about a number of transfers for Purdue on both sides of the ball. Defensively, they have gotten some good ones.
Revamped, reloaded, led by Nyland Green, the former 5-star out of Georgia. You see a couple Georgia guys coming on this roster, and think about that. These are guys that have national championship experience that Ryan Walters was able to sell on his vision here. Kendrick Breedlove comes over playing defensive back for Deion Sanders. We've seen Ojada down there at the bottom of your screen step up and make plays off the edge. So again, they've completely turned this roster over from 60 total guys last year to 100, and they've added not just anybody, but some serious contributors.
You look at the players coming in from Georgia. It's the University of Georgia. I know the one thing that excites Purdue fans about those guys, they have national championship rings. They understand winning.
Yes, and just think about that. It's hard to get on the field for Georgia when they're putting guys into the NFL year over year. It's not a knock on these guys. But Ryan Walters was able to sell them to say, hey, listen, you're going to be a star on our defense. Ryan Walters has been the coordinator of a #1 defense in college football. He's able to sell that to these guys. So immediately you elevate the talent on both sides of the football.
Bennett Meredith is now quarterbacking the second team unit. He turns and hounds to Merriweather. Jaheim Merriweather, who tries to push himself to the marker. He'll be right at the first down sticks, and that will be a first down. Bennett Meredith, the 6'3 sophomore from Hoover, Alabama. He started the Northwestern game last season in the absence of Hudson Card. First time today we've seen the quarterback Meredith. Transferring in last season from Arizona State. Played in 7 games for the Boilermakers, but again, his only start was the game in Evanston late in the season. And here's Merriweather again, breaking through some tackles. He's inside of the 20, turning it inside of the 10. Touchdown, Jaheim Merriweather, the freshman from Jackson, Tennessee. A 40-yard touchdown run.
Flag back on the play. Let's see what it is. But watch this block by Tavion Galloway. He's on the right side of the offensive line here. Two guys moving at the same time in a legal motion. So they're going to be running inside zone to the left. Here comes the tight end. Bang, sticks it. You can see that hole open up. Galloway hits CJ Madden. You could drive a bus through that. A nice sight to see for Jaheim Merriweather, the true freshman. Unfortunately, it's going to be coming all the way back. All
that effort to run through those arm tackles, scamper 40 yards for a touchdown, but for the freshman Merriweather, it doesn't count.
See, so they had 2 guys moving pre-snap.
That'll move the ball all the way back to the 45-yard line.
Did you see anyone moving there? No?
It's the spring game, Jake.
That's right.
The officials may be in spring form as well, and now we have another penalty. This one coming from the back judge. This will be delay of game.
Number 18, 5-yard penalty, first down.
So back-to-back penalties here for the second team O. Felt like they were off to a good start here in this third quarter, and now they're going the wrong direction. Ryan Walters says, just keep the ball there if you don't mind at the 45, so that's what Purdue will do. Again, we're making up some rules as we go. The beauty of the spring game. Meredith the throw, and that ball is incomplete. Trying to find the back out of the backfield, actually threw the ball behind his intended receiver. That is the redshirt freshman Christian Womack. Downstairs to Brooke Fletcher. She's with the Illinois transfer Reggie Love.
I'm here with Reggie now. Reggie, I mean, this is your first game with the Boilermakers here, but you're just like picking up right where you left off.
Definitely. It's fun, just to get out here with the guys, finally put on the black and gold uniform. It feels good.
You're familiar with Big Ten play coming from Illinois here. How do you feel like that's made the transition easier for you?
It's made it very easy because I know what to expect. I know what practice is going to look like. I know what teams are going to play looks like. So, just playing in the Big Ten, standing in the Big Ten, I'm just at a new place now.
What can you tell Purdue fans that they're getting in Reggie Love as a running back?
I think every Saturday you're going to see somebody who's energetic, want to bring the team along and going to go out there and make plays. Definitely.
All right, thank you, Reggie.
Thank you.
Brooke, thank you. That last reception a moment ago, Ryan Shackelford, a redshirt freshman from the state of Ohio. Bennett Meredith this time looking for Ben Furtney over the middle, but it was incomplete.
Just want to highlight how little details can make the big difference. Remember, I've talked about how Hudson Card has looked confident and sure his footwork is on time. Even Marcos Davella has looked confident. Watch Meredith's feet right here because he had his tight end Furtney coming across, but look at this, look at this. You see how he's just moving? He couldn't quite get fully set. He didn't get his whole body through there. Almost like he felt the pressure. He had the time if he could have stepped up. And he had a wide open tight end and Furtney coming across the middle, but that's the difference between Hudson Card, your starter, and Meredith, the guy that's trying to work back into the rotation.
Also harassing that pass, Joe Strickland on that defensive line from Indianapolis, played at Brebeuf Jesuit High School. Backup D lineman who was providing some pressure. And also in that middle linebacker position, we saw Joey Sumlin, a redshirt freshman from Naperville, Illinois. If the Sumlin name is familiar to you Purdue fans, it should be. His father, Kevin, a former Boilermaker. And will this is Davila, by the way, now quarterbacking with a first-team O. I thought for a moment he might be ruled down as a sack in the end zone because Yanni Karloftis was bringing the heat. That is not the case. It is simply an incomplete pass.
He's done this a few times. This has kind of been their go-to blitz, a little linebacker plug. And, Yanni Karloftis is a big physical guy. It runs in his family, right? You guys know George Karloftis, Super Bowl champ now. And that was Elijah Jackson, I believe, the running back. Just a difference in size. Jackson's 185. Yanni Karloftis, 240. You got to bring all your hips, all your body to slow him down.
Davila to throw with his heels on the end line, and catch is made coming out of the backfield. There is Jackson on the reception.
Again, I just look at the feet right here. Again, this isn't going to make any highlight tape. It's a check down. But watch his feet, how they're planted. He's not rushed. See, right here, feet planted. Bang, just put it out there to your running back. Just sure of himself. Again, get the ball out. You're backed up. You want to avoid those mistakes. That's really good stuff by the freshman.
3rd down and 6, we'll call it. With a first-team O, now being quarterbacked by the freshman Davila. There's a catch for Morissette, and that will be a first down gainer and then some. First time we've talked about Denylon Morissette, the sophomore from Stone Mountain, Missouri.
And where'd he come from?
Georgia.
Georgia, why not, right? Once again, look at the pocket presence, an accurate strike. Going from high school to the college level, those windows get tighter. That's a tight window. But Davila gets it out there, and a really nice ball to Morissette, who is fast, man. He's got that Georgia speed, as they say, beating man coverage.
6'1", 200-pound sophomore is Morissette. Davila wants to throw again, looking right, now left, coming back to his right, and that ball is incomplete, just a little bit too low for Jerron Tibbs. Couldn't pull it off of his shoestrings.
He had him for a while there. Tibbs, it looked like a busted coverage on they're kind of running a pick play, a crosser. There goes Tibbs. He's got his hand up because he's wide open. Just running a lot of man coverage in this defense, and that's just a classic pick play. One of the better plays to beat man coverage. They did it there, and really that time, I've been talking about his feet. It comes back to those fundamentals. Marcos Davila, his feet weren't quite set, so he couldn't get his whole body into that throwing motion. That's why it ended up short.
Penalty, by the way, called against the Purdue offense, so even if Tibbs would have come up with reception, it would not have counted. First down and a long way to go now here for the Purdue offensive unit. Again, this is the first team offense, but with the freshman Davila throwing an interception. That is Will Helt. Will Helt dropping back into coverage. Not only a pick, but it's going to be a pick six as well. Will Helt, an interception return for a touchdown, and the Boilermaker defense is on the scoreboard.
Well, this is tough on any quarterback, particularly a young quarterback. Will Helt, he's the edge rusher. He's on the left side of your screen, right there. Remember, he's on the line of scrimmage. He's been coming off the edge. Now you blitz Yanni Karlaftis, which allows Helt to drop into coverage. And really, that's just reading the quarterback's eyes. What I love about Will Helt, it's important as an edge rusher, is his length. Look at those long arms. It helped him get that interception there. I mean, this guy's a true sophomore. He can be a nice piece for Purdue going forward. And a really nice play there. I always love to score as a defensive player.
6'6", 250 pounds. Last year as a freshman, 12 tackles. And now a 23-yard interception return for a touchdown for the young man from Carmel, Indiana, on the north side of Indianapolis. A pick six for that guy right there, Will Helt.
And maybe most importantly, great hair. Phenomenal hair. NIL, we need to get him a marketing deal ASAP.
Well, when we visited with the coaches earlier in the week, they just raved about Will Helt and what he brings to this defense.
I remember, so there was two guys that were freshmen last year when I showed up to watch practice, and we talked about Max Clare, the tight end. And then I'm looking at Will Helt, and he was this size as a true freshman, and I said once again, who is that guy? They told me he's a true freshman, 6'6", 250. His arm's got to be 34, 35 inches long. You know, I played tight end. When guys have that much length, you can't even get in there. You can't block him. He's a guy to keep your eyes on going forward. He could be a real standout player for this Purdue defense.
Ryan Brown now is the quarterback, turning and handing to Jackson, who's up ahead to near the first down marker, actually going to put him down at the 30. No tackle, just a touchdown at the 30-yard line. So Ryan Brown is now running with a first-team offense. Davila with a chance to do some first-team reps a moment ago, and now Ryan Brown a chance for some first-team reps with the offense. Most of the first-teamers in the skill positions remaining on the field for Purdue with that offensive unit. Not all, but most, and that'll be a penalty here against the offense, it looks like.
False start. Offense, number 55. 5-yard penalty. Second down.
And from a defensive standpoint, a lot of first-teamers remaining out there, including Kadron Jenkins at that middle backer position. So it's not all ones versus ones right now, but for the most part, it is. Late in this third quarter. Brown wants to go up top. He does have a receiver, Jaden Dixon-Bill. Couldn't come up with a catch. Botris Alessandro at the very last second, able to strip that football away.
So this is the risk and reward of the Ryan Walters defense. Is they're going to get up there and they're not afraid to play press man coverage. They are not afraid to leave their guys on an island with a one high safety, and that puts a lot of stress on this defensive secondary. Botris Alessandro is one of those guys that's going to crack the rotation. We've talked about some of the guys in the transfer portal. You know Dylan Thieneman, you know Markevius Brown. This secondary is going to have their opportunities to show what they're made of.
Brown again goes up top, but that ball is severely underthrown. Andrew Sawinski, who caught the touchdown pass in the first quarter, may have gotten himself tripped up and tangled up with a defender as he was trying to run across the middle of the formation.
I don't know if that was Kadron Jenkins, maybe Jeffrey Mbad. There he is, number 4. Yep.
Yeah, it looked like he just tagged the right elbow, the throwing elbow of Brown. Kadron Jenkins there.
Tough matchup again. Jaheim Merriweather, the welcome to the college football moment, it's not running the football. You know how to run the football as a freshman, but can you block the big ones like Kadron Jenkins?
Our experts discuss everything happening in the conference on Big Ten Today, weekdays at noon Eastern, only on the Big Ten Network. Jake Butt knows a little bit about that, talking Big Ten football on a regular basis in that noontime slot. A lot of things to like about this upcoming Big Ten season, wouldn't you say, Jake?
Absolutely.
Obviously, maybe the most important, the addition of 4 new high-quality football programs.
I cannot wait for this season. You have the new 4 coming in. Oregon has a roster that can compete for a national championship. USC, excited to see their young quarterback Miller Moss. UCLA has a new coach, Deshaun Foster. Washington, of course, made it to the national title game. They got Jed Fish. We got a bunch of new coaches in the Big Ten, both in year 1, year 2, ready to elevate their programs. It is going to be a competitive year. There is no more hiding in this schedule. No more East and West. It's going to be good on good, and may the best man win.
New quarterback for the first time today. We're seeing Christian Gilov. He's from Noblesville, Indiana. He gets his first opportunity to quarterback here. Late in the third quarter of this spring game, turns and hands the ball to Christian Womack, who was stopped at the original line of scrimmage. Good look at Gilov, wearing number 17 there in that yellow uniform, the gold uni. Gilov will attempt his first pass of the game, and it is caught on the left perimeter by Armand Branch, who pushes the ball ahead to the 40-yard line. It'll be a gain of 5, maybe 4, closer to 4. Let's call it second down and maybe third down and 5, I beg your pardon here, as we're into the final 35 seconds of the third quarter. Play clock at 22, game clock at 27, so Gilov will have to run at least one more play before the third quarter is expired. Shackelford, the motion man, and he's looking Shackelford's way. He'll throw it to him. Catch is made, and that should be the final play here of quarter number 3. The third quarter dominated by the defense, specifically Will Helt, the sophomore from, well, hold on. They're going to stop the clock out. They'll let it run out.
This is
the clock has run out on quarter number 3. And again, Will Helt, the star of the third quarter, a pick 6 for the sophomore from Carmel, Indiana.
It's been great so far with the new guys.
13-10, Boiler Up leads Hammer Down as we head to the start of the fourth quarter. And we head downstairs to check in with Brooke Fletcher. She's with Yanni Karloftis.
Yanni, there's a lot of new faces, a lot of young faces on this defense. You say that now you feel like a veteran. How has that adjustment been for you?
Yeah, it's been a pretty big adjustment. I feel like since the start of the season, I didn't really view myself as a veteran, but having all the new guys come in and then look at me as a leader has honestly felt good and really have been able to view myself as a veteran.
Yeah, how has that pushed you in what you're able to do on the field?
Yeah, I like when people rely on me, and I like being a leader, so it's been good.
I know you're a big basketball guy. You love football, but you love basketball. The Boilermakers making it to the final. How has that been a motivator for not only you, but this team?
Yeah, these basketball guys have been a big motivator for the whole campus. So they just give us motivation to be able to do something great also.
All right, thank you so much, Yanni.
Yeah, thank you.
Jerron Tibbs on that last reception for the Boilermakers, a first down catch as Davila is again quarterbacking with a first-team offense. Yanni Karloftis, quite a story. Played high school football just across the street here from Ross-Ade Stadium at West Lafayette High School, but only played one game as a high school senior, Jake, because of injury. Showed up to Purdue as a free safety, and now he's a starting inside linebacker.
Kevin Kane has mentioned him a number of times this spring, the defensive coordinator, about a guy that's really stepped up, and just kind of his first year getting experience at that linebacker position last year, and now he's just like Coach Walters, just like this whole team, year 2. He understands the intricacies, and he's ready to take that next step.
Davila looking to the left, has his man. That's another catch for the freshman Jesse Watson. Boy, Davila, a freshman, sure seems to look the way of fellow freshman Jesse Watson a whole bunch. Seems like those two young guys are putting together quite a combination early in their careers. 7-yard reception for Watson.
It's really worth noting. I mean, one of the best things Ryan Walters does, what makes him special, is his recruiting. So I know 4-8 is a disappointing year, but you have to give him time. He's bringing in talent. It's encouraging to see the transfer portal. There's a bunch of young talent that's been making plays on both sides of the ball today. It's volatile in the short term, as is anything, but long term, you have to acknowledge the talent he is bringing in.
Blitz was coming off the edge. Jackson was the open receiver coming out of the backfield. And that throw and catch is made. It won't be enough for a first down, but it will be third down and or I should say 4th down and 2 or so. Well, one thing that helps, Jake Butt, is when you can keep all your coaches on your staff from year to year.
It really helps, but it's also necessary. When it's all new year 1 to year 2, the more continuity you can have is important. Again, you walk on campus, and Coach Walters was telling us, those first few months, you're still trying to learn the names of your staff, the names of your player, the names of all the support staff. That's mental energy. That's mental energy. But now going into year 2, there's been continuity. There's been continuity on the roster as well. All those little details are handled now. Now you can focus on the bigger details, the intricacies of the playbook, and that's where the big improvements should come.
Seth Dagey, the only assistant that moved on, he goes to Marshall. But the good news for Purdue, replaced with Justin Sins, who's now the tight ends coach. Sins played tight end here at Purdue, so a natural progression for him to move into an on-field coaching role for the Boilermakers. 12:38 remains in the game. Boiler up, which if you're just joining us has been the first team offense today. Leading Hammer down, the first team defense, 13-10. Ones have played against the ones, twos against the twos. And Bennett Meredith back in now quarterbacking here, the second team unit. And that play is going nowhere fast. It was sniffed out immediately by DJ Allen, the freshman rush end, who had the running back in his grasp for a moment, slipped out of his hands. It ends up being about a 3-yard run, but DJ Allen, true freshman from Memphis, Tennessee, Germantown High School. You see him there, number 12, getting some run here with that defensive unit. Another one of those true freshmen that came to campus mid-year, I should say, for the spring semester.
The sun's shining. They're playing some great music in the stadium. We got pads cracking.
Christian Womack on that last carry. Yeah, tough to beat a Saturday like this one in mid-April here in West Lafayette, Indiana.
Some long winters out here in the Midwest.
And this, boy, there's another tackle for loss by the young man we've talked about a number of times, Jaira Ojada. Coming up, the Nittany Lions take the field in Happy Valley for the blue-white game. Live coverage of Penn State spring football kicks off next, only on the Big Ten Network and the Fox Sports app. They'll flip the field here after Purdue could not convert on the third down. And 11:20 to go. Matt.
So I want to talk about the schedule again. And the Big Ten Conference had their work cut out for them. Of course, you have to consider the travel when you're adding teams in California and Washington and Oregon. But they did a phenomenal job. So their only West Coast trip is going to come against Oregon State in an out-of-conference matchup. But one of the big things the conference prioritized was considering the distance and the time zones that you'd have to travel every year. The maximum times a team will travel out west would be once. You have protected matchups, like Ohio State will always play Michigan, right? Oregon and Washington will be rivals, so they can have that schedule every year. USC, UCLA obviously are rivals. So again, it's not an easy schedule at all, but when you think about the potential for what travel could be, I think the conference did a great job of keeping things fair and reasonable.
Purdue's protected rivals Indiana and Illinois, so they will always appear on the Purdue schedule in football. Ryan Brown back in the quarterback position here for the first team offensive unit. And that is Ben Furtney with a reception. Again, no tackling with the first teamers, just two-hand touch, an 8-yard catch for Furtney, who doubles as an H-back and a special team standout.
He's been open a few times today, just hasn't quite been able to reel it in. I'm always celebrating the tight ends catching a pass.
Especially a guy like Furtney, who rarely sees the ball during the regular season. Again, he makes his hay on the special teams. As Merriweather has a short run that should be enough for a first down, even though it's a yard shy. The modified rules would give the offense a first down. That O-line for Purdue, look at that size of these young men. A big drastic change from where they were a year ago.
Night and day. Seriously, I mean, 6'4", 300 pounds. That's what you call Big Ten football, right? All offensive linemen between 6'2" and 6'7". They have depth. They said they've been able to go with 3 different units throughout this spring. A good mix of young guys and veterans. That's going to be a huge difference for this Purdue team come fall.
Brown's going to throw this one away. A couple of guys we're not even seeing today because of injury. Marcus Bowe, who was a starter last year, 2 times All-Conference honorable mention. Luke Griffin, who was injured late in the season last year after playing in a number of games. 330 pounds for Griffin, 305 for Bowe. And then Rod Green, who's a junior college transfer, they think he's going to fit in quite well, too, on this offensive line once he's healthy. So you're right, there is depth on that O-line for Purdue.
Yeah, Graham Harrell, offensive coordinator, was telling us, like, they had guys on snap counts, and at the end of the season, it was like putting together a puzzle piece. This guy can play 20 snaps here. This guy can play 30 snaps here. It's a big-time challenge.
Brown looking down the middle, has his receiver Furtney, and it is intercepted. Intercepted, stepping in defensively was Derek Rogers Jr. It looked like the initial tip probably came from Salim Turner Muhammad. It's a takeaway, the second takeaway from the first team defense.
Talked about the young talent. Derek Rogers, a sophomore. It looked like you might have had a chance to hit Furtney there, but a great job retracing and not giving up on the play by number 7. Salim Turner Muhammad and Derek Rogers just in the right place at the right time, able to get an interception off the rebound.
Again, Rogers 4 starts last year as a freshman corner, despite the fact he showed up on campus as a wide receiver. First couple of weeks with Purdue, he was playing wide out, got moved to the defensive side of the ball because of necessity, ended up in the starting lineup late in the year, and now an interception for Derek Rogers Jr.
They say when you go from a wide receiver to the defensive back room, it's because you can't really catch. But Derek Rogers is saying he doesn't want to hear any of that. That was a heck of a catch going through traffic. Looked like it might have been tipped a little bit. Really nice job by the sophomore.
Sophomore from Orlando, Florida, Derek Rogers Jr. 2 takeaways from the first team defense. One of them a pick 6 from Will Helt. That was in the 3rd quarter, and now this interception from Derek Rogers Jr. We're down to less than 8 minutes remaining here in this Purdue spring game. A reminder, Penn State spring game, the blue-white game coming up next here on the Big Ten Network.
Penn State playing, Ohio State had their spring game as well. Ohio State's got a quarterback battle, bunch of new pieces. The number 1 player in the country, Jeremiah Smith at wide receiver. Penn State, new coordinators on both sides of the ball.
Here's a new quarterback for Purdue, Jake Wilson, a redshirt freshman, and this pass is broken up as he tried to find one into a tight window over the inside of that defensive unit. Jackson Mole was in coverage for Purdue. Jake Wilson, redshirt freshman, 6'2", 200 pounds from Trophy Club, Texas.
Trophy Club, Texas. How'd they get that name?
You're
There's always
asking
a
the wrong
reason
guy.
behind a name, right? I'd love to know how they get that name.
I'll have to Google that one because I do not know the answer. Womack this time has all kinds of running room. To the near sideline he goes. Finally gets his legs cut out from under him by the defensive back Smith, who was able to slow him up in the last second. Sterling Smith, a sophomore from Indianapolis, transfer from Holy Cross, 10-yard run and a first down.
All the explosive runs have come from that inside zone that ends up getting bounced. There's been 3 or 4 instances today where it just, the defensive front for Purdue has done a good job, but they've given up contain. Just something to note for Ryan Walters. They got 2 practices after the spring game to get it corrected.
That ball in and out of the hands. Boy, that was lofted nicely, but it could not be pulled in there by the running back coming out of the backfield in Womack. Interesting there, Jake. As we take a look at the Jake Wilson stepping up into the pocket with a nice touch pass here. You just said something I found quite odd.
Yeah.
The spring game, when it's over today, Purdue still has 2 practices left on its spring schedule.
You know, I love that. So when Coach Harbaugh got to Michigan, he actually did the same thing. I had not been exposed to that. I didn't know that was an option. And I think the reason is you're going to play a game structure here. You're going to have situations, and usually that's the end of spring. But now you get to watch the tape and make the corrections.
Wilson has a wide open receiver, and that will put this team inside of the 10-yard line. Hey, Jake Wilson, a redshirt freshman who doesn't get an opportunity to play much, delivers one right on target to Travion Galloway, a fellow freshman.
It was right down here in the red zone in the first half where he had one thrown his way and he dropped it. Another opportunity comes his way, a nice catch, nice big body tight end, move the chains, get him in scoring position.
4-star recruit Galloway with a 10-yard catch, and second team offense knocking at the door trying to score late. And that time, that was a quarterback keep all the way, and there was no running room as Landon Hurd, a redshirt freshman DB from California, came up to make the tackle. A lot of new faces here playing late in this game. Some members of the 2s and the 3s getting some run late in this spring game.
Back to the 2 practices, though. Again, when you get in this game structure, this scrimmage structure, things come up that may not come up in practice, and usually that's the final practice of spring ball, so you don't get to work on it till camp. So having those extra 2 practices is just a wise move by Coach Walters.
Jake Wilson has a ball nearly picked off. He almost hit the receiver to begin with, then it slipped through the hands of the DB who was there in coverage, Smiley Bradford. It ends up being an incomplete throw.
Smiley Bradford almost had himself a 95-yard touchdown right there.
Breaking on the ball, Stratford.
Watch the
Bradford,
instincts.
I beg your pardon, the freshman.
Watch the instincts. So he sees this coming from the inside out. He's got his eyes in the backfield. He sees the play action, and they're almost trying to run a tight end screen out there to Galloway. But Bradford just plays fundamentally sound. He's in position, and the only thing he's missing is making that play. He would have had a touchdown.
3rd and goal from the 6, and that ball is high and incomplete. Too high for the intended receiver for the Boilermakers, Andrew Atkinson. And now 4th and goal from the 6.
Zeke Williams in coverage. Another sophomore, Smiley Bradford, true freshman.
All kinds of young faces now on this Ross-Ade Stadium playing surface as we're down to just over 3 minutes to go in the Purdue spring game. Wilson on 4th and goal will let it fly. He has his man, and that is a touchdown. How about Jake Wilson stepping in and throwing a dart to Ryan Shackelford, the redshirt freshman from Ohio, and that's a touchdown for the second team O.
And you play such good defense. You stop them on 1st, 2nd, 3rd down. All you need is to play one more good snap on 4th down, and this looked like a busted coverage down there in the red zone. Someone should be with them. So watch that. There, yep, you're running an out and up there by Shackelford, and ended up kind of working like a pick play that allowed him to get wide open.
So the second team offensive unit, the backup offensive players, come up with a score. Remember, they're playing with a first-team defense, so that makes the score 17-13 thanks to that defensive touchdown earlier in the half. Look at that list of highly touted incomers here for the Boilermakers, Jake. Quite a list.
And shoot, I mean, you got the safety position there at the top, 2 4-stars. We've talked about the depth of this secondary here at Purdue, and again, Ryan Walters, that is what he was known for. That is, you go back to Illinois, you know, Devin Witherspoon, number 6 pick overall to the Seahawks, I believe. Sidney Brown with the Eagles. You know, he's done a great job of producing, recruiting, developing elite secondary play. We've highlighted a number of the guys today. You know, Dylan Thieneman, a true freshman All-American. They're really excited about Breedlove, the transfer from Colorado. Nyland Green, their star transfer from Georgia. You return Markevius Brown. And then you add it with those 2 incoming freshmen and a couple more we've highlighted today that have made plays. And again, there's a lot to be excited for the future of this Purdue football team.
Well, the clock is running here down to 90 seconds and counting in this fourth quarter, and Ryan Walters, the head coach of the Boilermakers, does not seem very anxious to bring the offensive team back onto the field. This would be the first team offense if indeed they take any more snaps. It looks like they're going to jog out here with just a little over a minute remaining and maybe run a play or 2. They might just take a knee, and that's exactly what's going to happen. Victory formation here. G-Lov will be the quarterback to take the knee.
Well, I might have liked to see a 2-minute drill, but Ryan Walters said his #1 priority was to keep everybody healthy in this spring game, so it's the best play in football, victory formation.
Funny moment from a moment ago. The clock had stopped at 2 minutes, and I saw Ryan Walters look up to the press box and give them the keep the clock moving sign.
We're healthy, let's go.
He is ready for this thing to be over, ready to put this spring game into the books, and indeed that's what's going to happen here as the 2 sides will meet at midfield to shake hands, and this spring game will be finished for the Purdue Boilermakers here in 2024. The Hammer Down group, the team of the first-team defensive players, beats the Boiler Up Ball Club, the team with the first-team offensive unit, 17-13. A defensive touchdown aiding the Hammer Down group on a Will Help pick 6 in third quarter. We'll talk to Ryan Walters when we come back to Ross-Ade Stadium, the spring game here on the campus of the Purdue Boilermakers. That's a wrap on the Purdue spring game as it goes final. Hammer Down beats Boiler Up 17-13.